This week in the parish of Bourses and market structure, mega tokens, Paradise Postponed, Private FaaS, a tale of two investments, and UZEX compresses. My name is Patrick L. Young. Welcome to the Bourse Business Weekly Digest. It's the Exchange Invest Weekly Podcast, episode 339. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very brief reduction of highlights amongst the key headlines for the week in market structure. All the analysis of the many events and happenings from the past 7 days can be found in Exchange Invest daily subscriber newsletter, the unique guide to the Bourse business sent daily to your inbox. More details at exchangeinvest.com. Over in BitCarnage, Legacy tokenizes. All those first movers who did their own separate chains are now caught in the pincers of what I call the country club listing duopoly. New York Stock Exchange, the latest agreement with Securitize to sign a memorandum of understanding to support tokenized securities. That, of course, comes hot on the heels of recent announcements between Nasdaq and Talos, amongst others. If you enjoyed this excerpt from BitCarnage, don't forget you too can read BitCarnage as a standalone on Substack, or alternatively subscribe to the full bundle. Get your BitCarnage alongside Exchange Invest by going to exchangeinvest.com. Also headlining our Legacy Exchange news is that story about New York Stock Exchange and Securitize agreeing to an MOU to support tokenized securities. And of course, as I mentioned before, Nasdaq and Talos partnered to advance tokenized collateral just recently, as well as other developments, including Nasdaq and Bourses Stuttgart getting together to partner over Saturian to drive pan-European tokenized trading and settlement. Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly. We welcome your feedback. You can contact me directly, patrick@derivativesvision.com, with any comments. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this show, we would welcome you giving us a thumbs up. Or if you have time, a positive review will always be welcome, wherever you find this podcast. Meanwhile, down under, the Australian Stock Exchange made an epic move. They have their first non-executive board member who has actually worked in an exchange, ever. Vic Djokovic used to run Cboe Australia. It'll be interesting to see what he can do in order to try and help David Clark, the chairman, and the tarnished reputation of the ASX to rescue itself from the mire. Meanwhile, after little more than half a year, Pisces finally has its first trade. More on LSEG's Private Market and Exchange Invest with all the details on its failings to date. The Bucharest Stock Exchange, they're going to be launching an SME growth market. The Nigerian exchange, at the same time, is saying that reforms are driving strong domestic capital mobilization. Marex, the broker, is planning to move its domicile to Bermuda, and the NSEIX in the International Financial Centre in Gujarat has opened its doors to trading US stocks by Indian investors. Also in India, the MCX Clearing Corporation have paid a $64,000 or 50 lakh rupee penalty. That follows a technical issue on last December the 23rd. The National Stock Exchange of India finishing off a trio of Indian stories in this segment. They are asking shareholders to tender their shares, or at least announce how many shares they may seek to tender in the upcoming IPO. That will be an interesting number to see, as of course the shareholders of NSE have been pushing for this IPO for decades. Over in results, busy week for results in the parish. All the details are in Exchange Invest Daily, the newsletter no person can afford to be without in capital markets and market structure. For the sake of this podcast, some edited highlights. Record results from the Warsaw Stock Exchange. Group revenue up 18.7%, adjusted net profit up 30.2%. Not quite so spectacular set of results, but nonetheless still very, very strong from UZEX, the Uzbekistan Commodity Exchange. Overall revenue up 3.9%, gross profit up 2.7%, net profit up 7.4%. Fascinating new market being suggested from North Africa. Morocco looking to create a non-performing loan bourse. It was a busy week for deals in the parish. One key deal stood out. Intercontinental Exchange have completed their obligation to Polymarket with a new $600 million investment. That is a $12 billion market capitalization, which of course is a variation compared to Kalshi, who have just raised over $1 billion at a $22 billion valuation. In a tale of two ICE investments this week, on top of the Polymarket investment, we also have news that OKX, recently the recipient of ICE investment $25 billion, have paused their IPO push. Presumably they don't need any cash right now.
If you fancy some financial insights to moving pictures, check out our live stream Tuesdays 5 o'clock London, 12 o'clock New York time, the IPO video live show. You can catch back episodes over the Easter holidays on LinkedIn, YouTube via IPO-VID. And of course, amongst those was our excellent most recent show with Marlene Street Forrest, the former boss of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Finance book of the week this week, Devil Take the Hindmost, a history of financial speculation by Edward Chancellor, tracing the origins of the speculative spirit back to ancient Rome and chronicling the revival of speculation in the modern world. Product news this week, the Jamaica Stock Exchange are launching a fixed income trading platform. You can now trade government bonds, or you will soon be able to via the Kingston Bourses. NSE in India, they've launched dated Brent crude oil futures. First trading day for those is going to be coming up on April the 13th. Technology news this week, BMLL and TradeFeeder are partnering to build an AI-ready analytics for equity and futures, and the NSE of India is also announcing a slashing of response times to nanoseconds with its newly upgraded system. Chairman Selig of the CFTC has announced a new innovation task force. I hope that will have some balance with the likes of industry experts and indeed visionaries such as Professor Dr. Richard Sander being included on the panel. Career paths, lots of debate this week over exactly what happened with the exit of the former director of the US SEC's Division of Enforcement, Margaret Ryan, having left in a remarkably precipitate style after only 6 months with the organisation. As David Sachs has left the White House, his time is over as Trump's crypto and AR czar. That leads us to Big World. Sanae Takaichi won a stunning majority in the Japanese election she called soon after being appointed PM of a minority LDP government. Now holding a strong majority, Takaichi continues to concern herself with Taiwan and the perceived Chinese threat to the territory. It's worth noting that post the Fukushima nuclear disaster, Japan relies on LNG for around a third of its energy needs, which must be shipped through the Taiwan Straits or parallel shipping lanes. The issue is an acute one for Tokyo, as supply terminals' storage reserves amount to just over 1 month's supply. And on that mysterious and magnificent note, thank you for listening to this AI Weekly Podcast 339. Join us daily via exchangeinvest.com, or if you have a new exchange or market you'd like built, get in touch. My name is Patrick L. Young, and I wish you a great week in life and markets.
This show relates to the business of Bourses. It is not to be construed as investment advice, nor are we making any investment recommendations. Please consult an investment advisor before you make any investments, and for goodness sake, do your due diligence and do not make investments without complying with the regulations in your home state. Exchange Invest cannot be held responsible for any investment decisions made as a result of our program, which is for entertainment purposes only. The material herein is copyright Patrick L. Young at the date of publication, while our music and sound effects are sourced from copyright-free sources. Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly, the exchange of information.